In the previous episode, Doc shockingly discovered zombie heads in the water pump. Doc was startled, but he quickly realized that people had been falling sick and dying because they drank water from the pipes. He knew he had to urgently spread the word. Meanwhile, the residents of Medtown were attending the presidential election meeting. Both candidates were eloquent, each undermining the other. John was talking himself hoarse and was just about to quench his thirst with a drink of water. When Doc arrived, he shared his discovery, urging everyone to stay alert and stop drinking the local water.
Drink the water!
We drank it too! Oh God, I think I can still taste zombie!
However, the mayor thought Doc was spouting nonsense. After all, everyone had been drinking the same water for ages without issue. John also didn't believe it, thinking it was a scare tactic by Sketchy to manipulate the masses. He even encouraged people to drink if they wanted to, emphasizing the American value of freedom. Doc was furious at the dismissal of his warning.
Mr. President, what do you think?
Sketchy was in a bind. He knew Doc wasn't a liar, but siding with the populace was crucial for his election chances. Hence, Sketchy suggested,
Doc, without the proof, it wouldn't be prudent.
The crowd nodded in agreement, preferring to believe what was convenient for them. Disappointed, Doc retorted, "If you all want to die that badly, go ahead and drink the water." Right after he said this, the mayor fainted. Despite this, John continued to dispute Doc's claims, insisting there was no scientific basis. Addie, of course, trusted her teammate unconditionally and sternly approached Sketchy.
These people are endangered. This is not another one of your cots. Be a decent person. Drop the act.
Who became visibly nervous. Below, Skeezy, sensing the mood of the crowd, urged him to proceed with the vote. Addie was utterly disillusioned, realizing these weren't her kind of people.
Your ballot, citizens! The polls are closed!
Doc then took the mayor outside. Though the cause of the sickness was known, the cure was still a mystery. Remembering a movie scene where charcoal was used to absorb viruses, he decided to try it out. The mayor, half skeptical, put a pinch of charcoal in his mouth. Despite feeling nauseous, there was no alternative. About 3 minutes later, the mayor seemed to improve. Doc observed carefully, and to his amazement, the yellowing actually began to fade, eventually clearing up. The mayor felt remorseful for his ignorance, grateful that this kind-hearted man didn't give up on them. With this method proven effective, there was hope for everyone else. Meanwhile, inside the house, the voting had concluded. Just as Skeezy was about to tally the votes, the door was barged open.
Stop the vote! These men are con artists!
These three individuals were from a town 100 kilometers away. Sketchy's brothers had scammed them using the same scheme 5 days prior, and they had come for revenge.
Are treasonous charlatans! They came in their limo, ripped off our town, and took all our supplies as donations. What do you have to say for yourselves?
Sketchy, seeing no other option, decided to fight. The sound of gunfire instantly threw the hall into chaos, heard by Doc and the mayor outside. To make matters worse, the commotion attracted the nearby zombies. They hastily charged into the house, ready to organize a defense, but the scene of conflict before them left them at a loss on how to proceed. Caught off guard, the zombies arrived, and there was no time to waste. The mayor didn't hide. Instead, he picked up a long rifle from the ground and moved to a higher position.
Quit shooting at each other, we got seized!
Only then did they come to their senses, grabbing weapons and aiming at the door. Yet, the man who had come causing trouble was utterly oblivious to the unusual situation behind him. A showgirl, retreating too slowly, was grabbed by a zombie and devoured on a table. Another woman met a similar fate. Despite the chaos, the townsfolk were already systematically resisting the zombies. It was only a matter of time before the zombies were eradicated. Addie called out to Doc that it was time to leave, as they had already been delayed for too long. The mayor nodded at them, his eyes filled with gratitude. They didn't stay long and immediately rushed out. The long version of the Lincoln parked here. They naturally want to drive away. They felt no guilt whatsoever about taking the conman's car. By the time Sketchy's brothers came out, all they could see were the tail lights. They tried to catch up while the car was still moving slowly but ended up falling into a puddle. John followed them, not wanting to let those bastards take what was rightfully his.
Drop
Thus, Doc and Addie continued on their way, still in search of Murphy's daughter. Half an hour later, peace was restored to the town hall. The mayor had led them to destroy the zombies and find more charcoal for the residents to take. Aaron's husband also recovered, and they were ready to leave and wander. Every few days, Wesson would scatter blood, spoon by spoon, to feed the guard zombies protecting their territory. This was the kingdom of Murphy's blends, which had now grown significantly. Anyone attempting to intrude would be devoured by zombies, leaving nothing behind. Even Murphy himself had changed greatly. Much of the blue had faded from his body, and no one could explain why. Every day at 2 p.m., Murphy would call out on the radio for survivors to join him, knowing the more followers he had, the safer he would be.
We have enough Murphy Miracle vaccine for all who are ready. Ready for the future. 10,000 doses of freedom from fear.
However, unbeknownst to Murphy, a few kilometers away, Roberta and her group had been eyeing him since they arrived 3 days ago. They did not rush in recklessly to capture someone but quietly waited for an opportunity. Sun May had also been busy these days. She hypothesized that Murphy's body produced antibodies because he was bitten by 8 zombies after being injected with the original vaccine. Therefore, Sun May collected blood from several zombies and mixed it into the vaccine brought by 10K, hoping to achieve the same effect. Of course, this was all just Sun May's speculation. To know if it worked, they needed to test it on a living person.
It's a nice theory.
Everyone remembered what Hector said, as the plot would fully validate Murphy's law. After Hector spoke, he took over watching the situation in the Blend's kingdom from Roberta.
Hey, check this out. He's moving.
Roberta took the binoculars and saw Murphy walking out with a magazine. She knew him too well. If Murphy was reading, he was definitely going to the bathroom to pass the time. The opportunity had come. They could take advantage of Murphy's bathroom break to abduct him. No sooner said than done. They quickly moved to the back of the house. Just then, Wesson had lured all the zombies away. Hector cut through the wire fence with bolt cutters, and Roberta immediately rushed in. Roberta chose to act alone, believing that even if she failed, Murphy would most likely not harm an old friend. Indeed, Murphy was actually going to the bathroom. In the entire Blend's kingdom, there were only 2 restrooms, one labeled Murphy only and the other for everyone else. Truly, the hierarchy system was pushed to its limits. 30 seconds later, Roberta quietly approached, listening to the noises inside through the wooden door. However, she never expected the zombies from the fence to have returned and entered through the gap. That's bad luck. Since Roberta wasn't immune to zombies, she had no choice but to hide in the neighboring restroom. The zombies, drawn by the scent of a living person, all swarmed there. She could only hope that the wooden door was sturdy enough. Otherwise, her situation would be extremely dangerous. The growling and banging also reached Murphy's ears, who just assumed his incompetent subordinates had let the zombies inside. Roberta was breaking out in a cold sweat. If things continued this way, she would either be eaten by zombies or be discovered. Her only way out might be the hole below. Just as Roberta hesitated whether to go through the hole, Murphy, cursing, opened the door. But once outside, Murphy sensed something was off.
Somebody cut through the fence. They must be trapped inside.
Back off. Open it.
Seeing the scene before him, Murphy's expression darkened. Not many could sneak in and out so silently, and he had a hunch it was Roberta. For the next 3 days, Roberta didn't attempt any action, realizing she had underestimated Murphy. With just the 3 of them, breaking into the Blend's kingdom to capture someone was impossible. Thus, Roberta moved through the city, seeking a partnership with the mysterious Red Hand. However, Hector persistently advised against it, knowing it was akin to making a deal with the devil. As they were discussing, they arrived in front of a wall sprayed with red paint. Roberta, hands on her hips, relieved to have found a trace of the Red Hand, showed a ferocity never seen before, saying, "We can't take down Murphy alone, so we need allies. We can't be indecisive like before. I need people who will stop at nothing to achieve their goals, even if it means killing without a moment's hesitation or guilt." Hector shook his head, seeing Roberta as standing on the edge of an abyss, about to fall in.
Like that. They understand nothing but pain, death. They're killers.
And we aren't. Now you listen to me. I've come too far. I spilled too much blood and I've seen too many good people die for this mission.
Escobar would change you more than you would change him.
Then so be it.
Something's burning.
Then, Sunmay spotted thick black smoke in the distance, likely the work of the Red Hand. They drew their weapons and approached quietly. After all, the Red Hand was a dangerous group, and they needed to be cautious not to get killed before negotiations could even start. But when they got behind the vehicle, they realized the smoke was coming from a car, with several wild-looking individuals looting supplies around it. Roberta fired a few shots into the air, scaring them off. After ensuring the area was safe, they slowly approached the center. The cruel scene before them was unsettling. On the windshield of the abandoned car was written, "Definitely the work of the Red Hand," and judging by the condition of the bodies, they hadn't been dead long, not even sparing the children. Roberta opened the trunk to find a body, decayed beyond recognition. She believed the Red Hand had just left and that catching up to them would lead to their discovery. But just then, 2 zombies rushed out from beyond the fence, which she and Hector easily dispatched with a shot each. But there was another zombie behind Sunmay, which quickly knocked her to the ground. The gunman, a sleazy-looking man with glasses, held them at a standoff for a while but seemed to bear no malice. He put down his gun and introduced himself as Hopper, just passing by, and advised them to leave quickly to avoid trouble if the Red Hand caught up. Hearing this, Roberta once again raised her gun.
What kind of business you got with the Red Hand?
I'm their drug dealer. Ma'am, just between you and me, ripping off the Red Hand, probably not a good idea.
Ain't nobody trying to rip you off, fool. And lose the ma'am.
What do you want with the Scorpion? People don't look for a Scorpion. Scorpion usually looks for them.
I got a proposition for him.
Oh, honey, I'll bet you do.
Under the threat from Roberta, Hopper, the traitor, agreed to lead the way to find the Red Hand. As the journey was long, they found a car to travel in. Hopper didn't consider himself an outsider, constantly talking about the Red Hand, especially when he mentioned a Scorpion, the leader of the Red Hand. His eyes filled with admiration, claiming a Scorpion was a messenger from God, sent to execute judgment on Earth. While talking, Hopper's hand unconsciously reached towards Sunmay, revealing his lecherous nature. However, with Roberta there, Hopper couldn't succeed. About half an hour later, the car stopped at an abandoned factory, which Hopper claimed was the Red Hand's headquarters. Not sure of the Red Hand's disposition, they remained on guard. Yet, Hopper carelessly slammed the car door, causing a loud noise. They all turned to look at this fool, wondering how he had survived this long without any sense of caution. Roberta then signaled for Sunmay to stay behind while they scouted ahead. Seizing the opportunity, Hopper immediately approached Sunmay, suggesting that by following him, she would have access to endless marijuana. His words clearly displayed his rogue nature. Unexpectedly, the seemingly gentle and weak Sunmay was not one to be trifled with, as she kicked Hopper in the groin.
Don't pull that shit again.
After getting a good beating, Hopper became more compliant. He led them through a red door, leaving it unclear whether he was familiar with the layout or simply fearless. Hopper walks in front of them as if he's back in his own house, and they go round and round into the basement. Roberta and the others were on high alert, wary of any traps Hopper might have set, especially as the flickering lights in the passage added an eerie atmosphere. After half a day of wandering around in this dark place, they finally saw the light. But here there are still a few zombies tied to the columns, wire wrapped around the zombies all over the body. But the more Roberta looked, the more she felt something was off. Their skin color seemed human, and they were on the brink of death. No one noticed Hopper quietly taking a few steps back, shining a flashlight. Roberta discovered the wires on these people were connected to the electrical wires overhead.
We shed a little light on things.
No, don't!
In a few seconds, the smell of burnt skin filled the passage as they turned into zombies and lunged at the nearest person. Before they could recover, they heard Hopper clapping, followed by armed individuals descending the stairs. They became aware that this person was a member of the Red Hand gang.
Time to meet the man behind the madness. Scorpion will see you now.
Hearing Hopper's words, they lowered their guns. After all, achieving their goal was all that mattered. Hopper seemed to hold a high position within the Red Hand. He ordered his subordinates to escort Roberta and her group deeper into the building. Eventually arriving at a brightly lit room, Hopper gestured for everyone to stop and make no noise, then turned to look at the door inside. As the Red Hand's leader was coming out, Hector was also keen to see who was impersonating him. Heavy footsteps echoed in the room, the dark cloak adding an infinite sense of mystery. Yet, this figure seemed somehow familiar.
You seek a Scorpion.